how's it going, guys? It's Dredile back with another lore video. Except for this time, we're talking about Bioshock, specifically Columbia, the floating city of Columbia. Now, I could go into gratuitous detail about every single point of history that Columbia experienced throughout the Bioshock universe. I'm not gonna do that. I just instead wanted to paint broader brushstrokes, look at some of the inspirations that went into the city of Columbia, talk about some of the backstory a little bit more, and overall go into a little bit more of a funner side as opposed to just the boring. It's like literally, you want to sit through a history lesson? No, you don't. So that said, let's just drill down to the bottom of this. Oh shit, I'm a Big Daddy. Whoa! Yeah! So, Columbia started as a marvel to the nations of the world. It was an icon of American adaptability and sophistication after the breakthrough of quantum levitation by the Betty Crocker lady. Who talks funny.
Heads.
Or tails.
Come on, let me through. Heads.
Or tails.
Her name is actually Rosalind Lutece, and you can see her throughout the game. She's with another guy, and they kind of talk weird. That's actually her. The guy is her too. It's literally her as a male version in an alternate universe. It's kind of weird. But the whole game is based around tears, and this Lutece lady who invented quantum levitation, which allowed the city of Columbia to float, also experimented with a device which would allow you to rip into alternate universes. And so she found her male version of herself in an alternate universe. They worked together to, do extra crazy stuff. Regardless, Columbia was a big floating city without any tangible connection to the surface below. Now, it was owned by the United States government. It would travel around the world, showing off how awesome America is. But eventually, things went off the rail a little bit. Columbia started acting in its own interests, eventually attacking Chinese villagers at one point, and because of this, they seceded from America. Now, the person who led the charge on this, it was Comstock, the prophet Comstock. He believed America to be diverging from the ideals that had made it great during the founding of the country. This included racism, slavery, capitalism, militarism, slavery, and racism. Now, you have to keep in mind the time period in which this all takes place. You can get fooled by the technology and all that stuff, but that's a byproduct of the fact that the Luteces had ripped through alternate universes and acquired more advanced technology in an older time. This all took place around 1901 when they seceded from America, which is right during even the Civil War Reconstruction period of events. It's coming off the tails of the Gilded Age. So that mindset is an interesting mindset. It's people were pretty damn racist at that time, and workers' rights were practically non-existent. So if you were in the upper echelons of society, this was freaking awesome. It meant you had a bunch of free labor and top hats and weird mustaches and shit. But the average person was kind of like the cockroach that poops near the refrigerator, poops on the refrigerator if it's ballsy. Now that's a cockroach I can get behind. Actually, I don't want to get behind anything that has the word cock in it. I take it back. Now, the architecture of Columbia is reminiscent of New England architecture. Everything's split into districts. You have the nice area where people party, chill at the beach, and then you have the industrial side of things like Finktown, where Jeremiah Fink is essentially a reference to the monopolists of the Gilded Age, either by the use of slaves or paying incredibly low wages to desperate people, essentially putting them into indentured servitude. He garnered a workforce large enough to monopolize production on pretty much every piece of tech you see in Columbia. From automatons to Vigors to the stores where you can buy guns, those little vending machines on the street where you can buy guns. It's a little crazy. Isn't it just weird to anyone in Columbia that you can literally buy a Tommy gun, fully automatic machine gun from a vending machine on every fucking corner? Regardless, this created huge inequality. There were districts of slums to contrast the beautiful white buildings above, representing the racial supremacy of the town's inhabitants and the wealth flow to that effect. Patriotism, capitalism, all of this showcased in the clouds. Below the surface, however, the fabric of the above is held up on the labor of the common man. It makes for an amazing set piece for Bioshock Infinite. It's vibrant, it's colorful, it's a fun place to explore. And as mentioned previously, Comstock was the profiteer, the leader of this city and this entire group of people. And he ruled with pretty much an iron fist, as most cult leaders do. He had a big white beard, Santa Claus looking boyo, and was seen as a man of great charisma. He saw through time and space. It's kind of weird. He sort of was a prophet, to be honest. This guy saw through tears. He saw you getting dressed. He saw me getting dressed. And he saw this salad getting dressed. That's such a dumb joke. Press like if you're impressed. Now, interestingly enough, BioWare, wasn't BioWare, someone came out and made this interesting connection between Prophet Comstock and the Mormon LDS founder and second prophet, Joseph Smith, and Brigham Young. Specifically the physical appearance of Brigham Young and Comstock. I mean, just look at these two. It's more than just that though, and I would know because I was raised LDS, I was raised Mormon, not anymore. One interesting similarity between Comstock and Joseph Smith is they both called the city they were happening to be living in the New Garden of Eden for the chosen people. Another similarity between a prophet and Comstock is, Comstock and Brigham Young were both pretty racist. There's also something sort of weird and interesting, and I found this one online. There was a book called Wife Number 19, which was written by one of Brigham Young's wives who escaped Mormonism in the early days. Her name, Anne Eliza, stood out. She divorced and testified before U.S. Congress in 1875, left the city by both the names Anne and form of Elizabeth. Seems more than coincidental. And just kind of an interesting sub-fact, they both had to flee the city. Elizabeth, weird. But the prophet Comstock spearheaded the movement in religion in Colombia, and essentially it was just the worship of pure unadulterated capitalism. It was the worship of the founding fathers. I mean, they worshiped Washington because he embodied power. They worshiped Jefferson because of his fountain pen moves. I'm just kidding. Because of law and order. And they worshiped Ben Franklin because he's bald. And in the Bioshock universe, all of this kind of coalesces, crystallizes, and out comes this weird, set piece of a city, which is Colombia. Essentially, it's just the purest form of America floating in the sky. I mean, what else is there to say about it? A lot of that information is possibly something you might already know. If not, hopefully you learned something. And like I said, I just didn't want to break down each singular event in history down by one because there's already long video essays about that already. I just wanted to touch on less appreciated aspects of Colombia and some of the interesting things that Bioshock threw in as a little spice, which made Colombia such an interesting set piece and fun place to explore. Now, if you liked that and hearing some of the backstory about Colombia, well, thanks for watching. Like it and subscribe it. And by the way, I got me a shirt. This is if you people always want to know, hey, I would like to donate something. Well, you can always buy a shirt now. It's right below the video. That's cool, right? I want to throw it in your face, though. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully it was an interesting video, and until next time.